The room is dark. A single dim light flickers, casting erratic shadows that dance on the walls. You feel a chill. It's not the cold, it's the truth waiting to be uncovered. Welcome back to Brand Saga. Now, if you're a business, there's nothing more terrifying than the stench of a scandal wafting into the public eye. It's like trying to hide a hippo in a kiddie pool. It's just not going to end well. And for consumers like us, well, let's just say we've all been burned before by companies we thought we could trust. Today, we're diving headfirst into the murky depths of 5 of the biggest corporate scandals in recent history. These aren't just your run-of-the-mill PR mishaps. Oh no! These are the scandals that shook entire industries to their core, the ones that made you question every product you buy, every service you use, and every brightly colored logo you see. We're talking about the kind of scandals that give capitalism a bad name, and frankly, it deserves it. These are the stories of companies, giants in their fields, who thought they were above the law, who believed that profit trumped people and that a slick PR campaign could cover up a multitude of sins. But as we'll see, the truth always has a way of oozing out, like an oil spill you just can't contain. Get ready, because what you're about to hear will make you question everything you think you know about the businesses you rely on. Buckle up, kids, because it's about to get messy. Volkswagen. A name practically synonymous with German engineering. You know, the kind of engineering that brought us the Autobahn and those incredibly precise cuckoo clocks. For years, they were peddling this image of reliability, of trustworthiness. But perhaps most importantly, they were pushing this narrative of clean diesel. You see, in the early 2000s, diesel was having a bit of a moment. It was the fuel-efficient, environmentally friendly alternative to gasoline, or so we were told. Millions of consumers eager to do their part for Mother Earth flocked to Volkswagen dealerships. They bought these diesel cars thinking they were helping the planet. But as we've learned time and time again, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Our story begins with a group of researchers at West Virginia University. They noticed something fishy about the emissions coming from Volkswagen's diesel cars. The cars were spewing out nitrogen oxides at levels that would make a coal-rolling pickup truck blush. Now here's the kicker. When these very same cars were tested in labs, they passed with flying colors. Well, it turns out Volkswagen had pulled off a bit of a switcheroo. They had installed what can only be described as defeat devices. These digital gremlins could detect when a car was undergoing an emissions test. The engine would adjust its performance to comply with all those pesky environmental regulations. But the moment those cars were back on the open road, the software would flip the switch. Emissions would skyrocket, spewing out up to 40 times the legal limit of pollutants. Volkswagen, the company that had built its reputation on trust, was now the poster child for corporate greed and deception. The financial repercussions were swift and brutal, totaling over $30 billion. Senior executives found themselves in the uncomfortable position of swapping their tailored suits for orange jumpsuits. The Volkswagen emissions scandal, or Dieselgate, wasn't just about numbers. It was about the erosion of trust, the realization that a company we thought we knew had been lying to us all along. Millions of tons of excess pollutants were released into the atmosphere, contributing to climate change and harming public health. The Volkswagen scandal is a cautionary tale, a reminder that we must hold corporations accountable for their actions. It's a story that should make us question, scrutinize, and demand better from the companies we choose to do business with, because the truth, as they say, is out there, and sometimes it smells a lot like diesel exhaust. Let's be honest, shall we? Banks. They're not exactly known for being the most trustworthy institutions, are they? I mean, they're basically in the business of lending you money you didn't know you needed at interest rates that would make a loan shark blush. But there's a certain level of expectation, wouldn't you say, when it comes to a bank? You're trusting them with your hard-earned money, with your financial security. And for years, Wells Fargo, with its folksy stagecoach logo, had managed to cultivate this image of trustworthiness. In 2016, the world got a glimpse behind the curtain, and what we saw wasn't pretty. Wells Fargo employees, under immense pressure to meet sales targets, had been engaging in outright fraud. Millions of fake bank accounts and credit card applications were created without customers' knowledge. Why would a bank resort to such blatantly illegal tactics? The answer is greed. High-ranking executives were forced to resign in disgrace. The true cost of the Wells Fargo scandal was trust, something far more valuable and difficult to regain. The scandal left Wells Fargo's reputation tarnished, a cautionary tale whispered on Wall Street. In April 2010, the Deepwater Horizon oil rig run by BP caused one of the worst environmental disasters in history. An explosion killed 11 workers and unleashed a massive oil spill. For 87 days, oil gushed into the Gulf, creating a slow-motion environmental catastrophe. Wildlife suffered immensely, with birds and dolphins struggling in the slick. Communities dependent on the Gulf saw their livelihoods vanish. BP eventually paid over $65 billion in fines and settlements. But no amount of money can restore a destroyed ecosystem. Despite promises of a sustainable future, BP lobbied to weaken safety regulations, the same regulations that might have prevented the disaster. We must hold corporations accountable and invest in renewable energy to prevent future tragedies. Facebook, that digital watering hole where we share baby photos, argue with strangers about politics, and willingly hand over our personal data. But in 2018, Facebook's casual relationship with our privacy went from "it's complicated" to "we're breaking up and I'm taking the dog." It all started with what seemed like a harmless personality quiz. But this quiz, my friends, had a much more sinister agenda. It was a Trojan horse wheeled right into the heart of Facebook by a company called Cambridge Analytica. Over 270,000 people took the bait, blissfully unaware that they were handing over the keys to their digital kingdom. See, Facebook, in its infinite wisdom, had this little thing called friend permissions. You were giving them access to your friends' data too, and their friends' friends. By the time the dust settled, Cambridge Analytica had their grubby little hands on the data of over 87 million Facebook users. Well, they did what any self-respecting data mining firm would do. They used it to manipulate people. They were in the business of influencing elections, and boy, did they influence some elections. The world, understandably, freaked the hell out. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook's hoodie-clad CEO, was dragged before Congress, forced to explain how his social media empire had become a playground for data-hungry political mercenaries. Facebook, once a harmless distraction, was now public enemy number one. People deleted their accounts in droves. Governments around the world started cracking down on data privacy. And the phrase "we take your privacy very seriously" became the biggest lie on the internet. It was a wake-up call, a slap in the face with a cold, wet fish, reminding us that in the digital age, our data is the most valuable commodity there is. And we're the ones selling it, often without even realizing it. Flying. That magical experience where you're crammed into a metal tube with hundreds of strangers, your knees jammed into the seat in front of you, while a screaming baby provides the in-flight entertainment. It's the closest most of us will ever get to experiencing purgatory, but hey, at least it's usually safe, right? Well, that's what everyone thought until the Boeing 737 MAX entered the chat. The 737 MAX was supposed to be Boeing's crown jewel. A fuel-efficient, state-of-the-art aircraft that would revolutionize air travel. It was the plane of the future, or so they claimed. But in 2018 and 2019, the future took a nosedive, literally. Two brand new 737 MAX planes operated by Lion Air and Ethiopian Airlines crashed within 5 months of each other, 346 souls lost in the blink of an eye. The world was in shock. What went wrong? Was it terrorism, pilot error, a flock of geese with a death wish? The answer, as it turned out, was far more insidious. You see, the 737 MAX had a bit of a software problem, and by bit of a problem, I mean a potentially catastrophic design flaw that would make Frankenstein's monster say, "Dude, maybe dial it back a notch." This flaw came in the form of a system called MKS, which stood for Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System. Sounds pretty technical and boring, right? Well, it was anything but boring for the pilots and passengers on those two ill-fated flights. The MCAS was designed to prevent the plane from stalling, which is a good thing in theory, but in practice it was like giving a hyperactive toddler control of the airplane's nose. The system relied on data from sensors, and if those sensors got their wires crossed, which, let's be honest, happens more often than it should, the MCAS would kick in at the worst possible time, forcing the plane into a nosedive. Now, you might be thinking, surely the pilots would have been able to override this rogue system. And you'd be right, except for one tiny detail. Boeing, in their infinite wisdom, decided not to tell pilots about the MCAS system at all. Instead of, being transparent about a potentially deadly flaw in their billion-dollar aircraft, Boeing decided to sweep it under the rug. They figured, hey, what pilots don't know won't hurt them. Except in this case, what pilots didn't know very much hurt them and everyone else on board. To make matters worse, Boeing also pressured regulators to fast-track the 737 MAX's certification process. They cut corners, ignored warning signs, and basically threw caution to the wind, all in the name of profit. The result? 2 horrifically preventable tragedies that cost hundreds of people their lives. The fallout was swift and brutal. The 737 MAX was grounded worldwide. Boeing faced lawsuits, investigations, and a public relations nightmare that would make BP's oil spill look like a minor PR hiccup. The company's reputation, once synonymous with innovation and safety, was in tatters. Volkswagen, Wells Fargo, BP, Facebook, Boeing, 5 titans of industry brought low by their own hubris and greed, 5 scandals that exposed the dark underbelly of corporate power, where profits trump people and accountability is nothing more than a buzzword in a shareholder meeting. These companies, with their slick marketing campaigns and carefully crafted images, promised us the world cleaner cars, secure banking, technological innovation. But behind the facade of progress and prosperity lay a trail of deceit, negligence, and a blatant disregard for human life. The headlines may have faded, but the consequences of these scandals linger: a planet choked by pollution, families torn apart by loss, a digital landscape where privacy is a distant memory. As you turn off your screen tonight, remember this. For every scandal that comes to light, countless others remain hidden in the shadows. The fight for corporate accountability is far from over. In fact, it's only just begun. Thank you for watching Brand Saga. See you next time.